Hello students, I have shared few slides related to your 5th unit molecular spectroscopy 2, the spin resonance spectroscopy, under which the nuclear magnet resonance spectroscopy is dealt with, and it is dealt in two parts: the spin and an applied magnetic field, the nature of the spinning particles in the first part, the interaction between the spin, magnetic field and the Larmor precision will be dealt in the second part. So radically different types of interaction between the matter and electromagnetic forces can be observed by subjecting a substance simultaneously into two magnetic fields. One stationary applied magnetic field and the other the radio frequency of varying frequency range. So at a particular combination of these fields, energy is absorbed by the sample, and the absorption can be observed as a change in the signal developed by the radio frequency detector and amplifier. So this energy absorption can be related to the magnetic dipolar nature of the spinning nuclei. In other words, a charged nucleus, say for example any proton, on spinning develops a magnetic field. When placed in an external magnetic field V0, this proton will tend to precess and develops a precessional frequency, and that frequency increases with the strength of the applied magnetic field. So if a proton that is precessing in an applied magnetic field is exposed to an electromagnetic radiation of frequency mu, then when it matches with the precessional frequency omega naught, then we can observe a condition called resonance between that nuclei and the radiation which is observed. So this resonance frequency being characteristics of the nucleus and also the strength of the applied magnetic field. So the technique NMR thus involves the study of the magnetic field or energy which is experienced by the nuclei when they are placed in a magnetic field, and also the transmission that occurs in the radio frequency wave region. And quantitatively we can estimate the presence of a particular nuclei in a compound, and since for a given nucleus species the strength of the NMR signal is directly proportional to the resonating nuclei, and radio waves are considered to be the lowest form of the electromagnetic radiation, and this amount of energy is actually not sufficient to cause excitation, vibration or rotation of an atom or a molecule. Thus the amount of energy in radio frequency region is just sufficient to affect the nuclear spin of the atom in a molecule. Hence, NMR study is in general the study of the radio frequency radiation of a nuclei. So let us see certain key points which we will be discussing in these slides. The spinning of a charged particle and the behavior as a magnet. Then influence of the applied magnetic field to the nuclei and measuring the amount of energy required to resonate the various nuclei. The nature of the spinning particle. So the condition required for any particle to be NMR active or not, for which the rules are there for predicting the nuclear spin, which will help us to identify the nuclei. And the nuclei, when kept in different environment, requires different amount of energy to bring the nuclei in resonance. Those conditions are said to be shielding or deshielding. Then energy necessary to bring the nuclei to resonance is represented by a signal or a peak in NMR spectrum. So that is the ultimate output of this technique. Then the interaction between the spin and the magnetic field, which will lead to the determination of the frequency of the bare proton and also the Larmor frequency. So the basic principles of the NMR spectroscopy. So when a charged particle on spinning, it develops a magnetic field. So in this case the nucleus is taken, which contains proton and neutron, which are charged particles. So these on spinning will be acting as a magnet as it develops a magnetic field, a dipolar nature. So the theory behind NMR comes from the spinning of the nucleus, and it generates a magnetic field. Without an external magnetic field, the nuclear spins are random in directions. But when the external magnetic field is present, the nuclei align themselves either with or against the field of the external magnet. So here comes the illustration of this principle. So the magnetic moment of a proton is represented as a magnetic vector, and when it is placed in an applied magnetic field, it tends to align or orient in two ways. One, it is aligning with the applied magnetic field, and that orientation is said to be the alpha spin, and the other one which aligns against the magnetic field, and that is said to be the beta spin. So once the alignment is over, and such the nuclei, when they are irradiated with an electromagnetic radiation of a proper frequency, then there comes a transition. So transition comes from the alpha spin to the beta spin. So the energy level difference, when it matches with the energy difference between these spin states, then the transition takes place. So transitions taking place from the lower level to the higher level, that is from the alpha spin to the beta spin, is said to be resonance. So the nuclei will be resonating by absorbing a certain frequency of the radiations. And lower energy level sometimes is more populated by the protons, that is the alpha spin state. By absorption of the required frequency of radiation, then the excitation or transition takes place to the beta spin state. Thus, NMR spectroscopy operates by applying a magnetic field to the nuclei and then measuring the amount of the energy necessary to put the various nuclei in resonance. Due to the electromagnetic radiation, this resonance actually takes place and hence known as NMR. So the resonating frequency is otherwise said to be the frequency required to convert in beta position. So the splitting of the nuclear energy levels. The spinning nucleus becomes electrically charged and produces a magnetic field and behaves as a magnet. And in the absence of the applied magnetic field, it is considered as one form of energy. That is, the magnetic moment associated is only one form of the energy. Once an external magnetic field is applied, it splits into two energy levels because of the quantum mechanical restrictions. The energy levels are split based on the spin quantum number I. And the energy level splitting can be calculated from the formula 2I plus 1 according to the quantum mechanics. Let us consider for a proton which has I is equal to 1 by 2. When we substitute in that expression 2I plus 1, then that will lead to two energy levels. So at a constant applied magnetic field, we can see that two spin states which are resulting from the spin quantum number I is equal to half. So in the absence of the field, we could see that the energy of the spin states are degenerate, which are same. But once under the influence of the applied magnetic field, they split into two. Then Mi, the lower energy state, has half energy state. Then Mi and the higher energy state will have minus half. Alpha spin aligns with the applied magnetic field, has less energy, that is the lower energy state, and beta spin, which do not align with the applied magnetic field, has the higher energy state. The energy difference between these two spins states are given by delta is equal to h nu. And nu is the frequency of the incident radiation, which actually leads to transition. And that is given by an expression gamma divided by 2 pi into B naught, where gamma is the gyromagnetic ratio, depends upon the atomic nucleus, and B naught is the applied magnetic field. Hence delta E can be represented by an expression gamma h beta B naught divided by 2 pi. So here comes the proton, which is precessing in a circular or precessional motion around with applied magnetic field, and it has the nuclear magnetic dipole mu. So variations of the applied magnetic field and spin quantum number I. So the energy differences between the nuclear spin states actually depends upon the applied magnetic field. As we know, in the absence of the applied magnetic field, the energy states will have the same energy. But we could see that with the influence of the applied magnetic field, the energy difference between these two states will be increasing with the applied magnetic field. So increase in B naught increases delta E, and thus higher energy frequency radiation is required. Hence radio frequency of 60, 300, 400, 500 megahertz spectrometers are used. Greater the energy gap, higher will be the intensity and clarity of the spectra. Also it depends upon the population of the energy level in the lower energy state. And when I is equal to 3 by 2, the energy levels can be calculated by the formula 2I plus 1, which leads to 4 energy levels. Hence the splitting comes as 4 energy levels, where the energy states of the spin or m is equal to 3 by 2, 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2 and minus 3 by 2. Then shielded or de-shielded and the signal position in NMR spectrum. So the orientation of the magnetic field of a nuclei with applied magnetic field in different electronic environment, which are said to be shielding or de-shielding. And the nuclei in different electronic environments require different amounts of energy to bring them into resonance. An NMR spectrum provides a signal or a peak representing the energy necessary to bring each nuclei into resonance. So let us consider a magnetic vector of a proton, which is actually free from the electronic environment, and such a proton are said to be de-shielded proton. And a proton which is surrounded by the electrons, so the magnetic field of a proton is represented here, and they are said to be shielded proton. They are shielded from the effect of the applied magnetic field. So for this, let us take an example of ethyl bromide, where CH2 protons are closer to the bromine and CH3 protons are far away from the bromine. Hence, the protons of these two will be varying with respect to the electronic environment. So here comes both the shielded proton and de-shielded proton under the influence of an applied magnetic field. Once they are under the influence of the applied magnetic field, they tend to align with respect to the applied magnetic field. So here comes the de-shielded proton will take up easily the alpha spin. They'll orient in the alpha spin. But the shielded proton, which could not be oriented in the alpha spin, as they are surrounded by the electrons. So the electron itself, it will be generating a magnetic field which will be opposing the applied magnetic field and restricts the proton from being experienced by the applied magnetic field. So they are not affected and they will not align in any directions. And in such condition, they are irradiated by any electromagnetic radiation of a proper required frequency. Then the resonance takes place. So resonance is the flipping of proton from alpha spin to beta spin. So this is how the resonance happens, by absorbing a required frequency of the radiations. But the amount of the radiation will be different by both the protons. Based on that, we can expect the NMR spectrum. So the de-shielded proton, from flipping to alpha spin to beta spin, requires higher amount of energy. As you could see that it has to rotate through 180 degrees. But the beta spin, which is very easily flipped for the shielded proton, and it requires lower energy. The energy required to flip the shielded proton will be of very less. Hence, that is depicted in the form of the chemical shift values. So, de-shielded proton will have higher chemical shift value and shielded proton will have lower chemical shift value. So, the chemical shift and the energy of the radiations, that is the frequency of the radiation, will be increasing from right hand side to left side. Then the magnetic field strength increases from left to right. Hence the de-shielded proton, which is actually experiencing more amount of applied magnetic field, they require less applied magnetic field. Hence the absorption takes place in the down field itself, that is the low field itself. But the beta spin, which are shielded, experiences less effect of the applied magnetic field. Hence, to cause the resonance, the absorption has to be done in the upfield. That is, high magnetic field strength is required. So that is how de-shielded proton absorbs in the downfield and shielded proton absorbs in the upfield. So in the above example, CH2 protons, these protons are de-shielded as the electrons are attracted towards the bromine atom. As bromine atom is a highly electronegative, it will be attracting the bonding electrons towards itself, and the protons are de-shielded, which is free from the electronic environment. Hence, the higher energy is required to bring them into resonance. That is, from a flipping to alpha spin to beta spin. So higher energy is required, higher frequency signal is obtained, and higher chemical shift value is noted, and the absorption takes place in the downfield, low field absorption. Similarly, CH3 proton, these protons are shielded by the electrons as it is far away from the bromine atom. The bromine atom could not attract the bonded electrons, hence the protons are surrounded by the electrons. Hence low energy is required for it to flip from the alpha spin to the beta spin. Low energy is required, low frequency signal is observed, lower chemical shift value is noted, and the absorption takes place in the upfield, that is the high field absorption. Now let us see the nature of the spinning particles. So the nuclei spin quantum number is represented as I, and it should be more than 0. It should not be equivalent to 0. So that is the requirement as a selection rule for the NMR spectroscopy. There are certain rules which are used to predict the nuclear spin in order to know whether it is a non-zero spin or not. If they are having a non-zero spin, then they are said to be NMR active nuclei. Example, if the mass number is odd and atomic number is even or odd, then the nuclear spin can be calculated as 1 by 2, 3 by 2 and 5 by 2, which we can see in the next slide how we get the spin quantum numbers. The nuclei for this are examples of proton, boron 11 and 5, fluorine 19 and 9, carbon 13, 6. They are all said to be active. And if the mass number is even and atomic number is even, the nuclear spin is found to be 0, and in this case the nuclei carbon 12, oxygen 16, sulfur 32, they are all said to be inactive. If the mass number is even, atomic number is odd, the nuclear spin will be a whole number of 1, 2, 3. And here comes examples, the deuterium, nitrogen 14, and isotope of a boron 10, which are all said to be active in NMR spectroscopy. So the next, the calculations of the spin quantum number. So how it is calculated. So let the number of protons be P and the number of neutrons be N, and they are differentiated by having a blue and orange. Example, here comes the boron, which has a mass number 11 and atomic number 5. So P, the number of protons, will be 5, as atomic number is the number of protons or number of electrons. And the mass number is 11, which is nothing but the summation of number of protons as well as number of neutrons. So to find the number of neutrons, we take the difference between the mass number and the atomic number, which will be resulting the number of neutrons. So these protons and neutrons are filled in the nuclear energy levels, which are indicated in the right hand side, where the spin quantum number for each energy states are represented, as well as the multiplicity of the states are also given. And here we can see 5 number of protons are filled, 2 in the lower energy, and the next 3 will be filled in the higher energy state. Here the rules of the quantum numbers have to be followed. No two particles will have all the 4 quantum numbers same. So based on that aspect, the 2 protons will be paired up in an opposite direction. The next, the neutrons are also filled, 2 in the lower and 4 will be the next level. So based on that, the protons as well as the neutrons, if they are paired in an opposite direction, they will be cancelled among each. So based on that, in the boron, only one proton will be left out whose spin state will be equivalent to 3/2. Hence that will be the spin quantum number of boron. And as an example of the fourth one, we can see that oxygen, which has the atomic number 8, mass number 16, so proton will be 8, neutron will be 8. And all the 8 protons and 8 neutrons will be filled in the nuclear energy levels according to the rules. So 2, 4 and then 2. So all the neutrons gets cancelled. Similarly, all the neutrons gets cancelled. So I will be equivalent to 0, which are said to be inactive. Similarly, deuterium is calculated. I is equal to 1, and boron, isotope of a boron, where I will be equivalent to 3. So the summary comes like this. So thus, it is known that in NMR spectrum, the number of signals gives us information about different kinds of protons present in the molecule. Similarly, the positions of the signal tells us what kind of protons they are. That is, whether they are aliphatic, aromatic, primary, secondary or tertiary, or adjacent to a halogen or any other atom. So these different kinds of protons have different electronic environments, and it is this electronic environment that determines where a proton absorbs in the NMR spectrum. So these are the references. And here are few questions which are given, which you could work it out based on the PPTs that we discussed, and see to find the answers for the following questions. All the very best. Thank you so much.